Yes, so now just continuing this commentary of this episode of the Transformers as the Primitives prepare to meet the Oracle. Well, I'm not actually sure if it is the Oracle, it's Primacron's assistant. Bit of unnecessary slapstick there. Now this element here is interesting. I'm going to just assume that everyone has watched this episode. I mean, come on, if you're listening to a fan doing a commentary about an episode, then chances are you're enough of a Transformers fan to have actually watched this episode. So, I know I'm not talking over anything that you probably haven't heard already. Actually, look, that's the same monkey thing that attacked before. So, in this particular segment, we get an explanation as to what's going down, and this episode gives an explanation to the origin of Unicron, who was the main antagonist of the 1986 Transformers movie. Long-term fans of the Transformers often look at this as a kind of probably the weakest explanation of how Unicron came into being. Basically, Primacron, the enemy of this episode, just built Unicron, basically. And as you can see there, his head isn't a gigantic rock, as it was earlier in the episode. Again, I don't know what the hell was up with that shot of Unicron's head. It was... go figure. I mean, miscommunications were pretty common, I think. You know, the episodes were written in America. They were often sent to animation studios in Japan, so there might have been communication issues there. In any event, this episode establishes that Unicron is simply a construct of Primacron, and that's pretty much it. This Primacron has a deal where he likes creating things that will somehow destroy the universe. But in sort of later continuities, because, you know, Transformers is one of those franchises that has lots of different continuities. You've got the G1 continuity, you've got the US comics, you've got the UK comics, we've now coming into lots of cartoon series that have continuities of their own, so they're all very different. And in this particular instance, this G1 continuity was kind of the first to bring in Unicron, but then later continuities built on what Unicron is. And they have really established that Unicron isn't just a construct. He's not just a massive transformer. Unicron is essentially a dark god, a chaos god, if you will. And so, retroactively, watching this episode kind of brings that down. Now, remember what I said about Grimlock being overpowered? Trypticon has just fallen on Grimlock. Trypticon transforms into a city. He doesn't transform into a human city. He transforms into a city for the Decepticons. They just chucked a city on this mofo. Remember that. Grimlock has had a city fall on him. Skylynx, who has up until this point lauded his vast and superior intelligence, just kind of lost his shit there, really, when he saw Grimlock and Trypticon, in inverted commas, destroyed. Just kind of decides for an all-out attack. We run too. Now this sequence is kind of cool. All the Primitives decide to split up, using the logic that, you know, it can't follow them all. So this is nifty when this happens.
Is that so? Hone your hunting skills on them, Tornedron.
And as far as battle sequences go, because that's what this is quite imaginative. I mean, Tornedron here shows the ability to transform into other kind of forms. Now this is pretty rugged, what happens to Ratbat here. Look at this. It eats Ratbat. I mean, I'm pretty sure Ratbat appears later again, but that kind of gives the impression that Ratbat gets destroyed in this episode.
He is right! Predacons, unite! Tornedron, face!
Of course, one of the huge things about bringing the combiners into these shows was advertising. I mean, I love this show, I really do, but at the end of the day, you've got to accept that these cartoons are essentially glorified commercials. What I do like is that the Terracons don't resort into combining into Abominus. And there we have Sinner-Twin kind of... I mean, that's interesting. I mean, he's like using the rocks to sort of... Of course, Tornedron is energy, so... It was about as effective as you'd expect.
Now, Dinobots, we ambush!
Now, once again, I'm just reminding you, Grimlock had an entire city fall on him. Let me just say, that's one overpowered mofo right there. There are certain meta things that can... meta things, yes, that is a word, meta things, that affect, I think, Transformers characters' power level. And one of them is their popularity with the fandom and whether or not their toy is still selling in the toy stores. Now, interestingly, there you see Grimlock fly. Pretty much after Season 2, they firmly established the whole thing of Decepticons can fly, Autobots can't fly. And that had a huge kind of plot device element. It was so, I think, it was so the Decepticons could escape every episode to come back another day. With no surprise here, Primacron's little minion Tornedron turns on him.
Where is the combined radical for?
Now, we kind of already saw what Primacron looks like earlier in the episode. So this big reveal here isn't quite the big reveal it was supposed to be.
You are creator?
Unfortunately, yes.
I mean, he looks like something out of the Smurfs.
Little wimp who make big trouble.
I will make no more if we...
The Primacron's assistant, which rather oddly looked like the Autobot Matrix of leadership, did foreshadow that the Primitives might be able to save the day because of their more simple line of thinking. Even so, I do find this a bit of a stretch.
Of course, the reverse switch. Why didn't I think of that?
You not smart primitive like me. Me, Grimlock, think I did right thing.
But I mean, again, it's a cartoon.
Energy polarity.
Basically, yes, the enemy is defeated by hitting the reverse switch.
What happened? I don't know, but I think that cloud just passed over us harmlessly.
Why would you make that assumption? Because you've just... I mean, they were all lying on the floor, massively disorientated. You know? I mean, if I was in the middle of doing something and I woke up on the floor with 4 other guys, I'd be worried. You know, I wouldn't think something had passed over me harmlessly. I'd be concerned I'd just taken part in an accidental orgy with those other people. And that's the end of the episode. I won't commentate on this. These were the sort of the ending montages that they decided to do for Season 3, explaining certain aspects of the series. Here, narrated by Victor Caroli. Yeah, I won't chat about that. So that was the Call of the Primitives. I mean, it was probably one of the better episodes of Season 3. Not without its certain things that I can sit here quite comfortably and poke fun at. But it was, you know, it was a fine episode. I mean, the animation was certainly better. I mean, just look at this. This is showing animation from other episodes, which isn't exactly stellar. call it Primitives. I mean, it's a fan favorite. I think it's fair to say it's quite good. One or two flubby bits, but otherwise, a serviceable episode. So that's it from me. I might commentate another episode later on down the line. Probably one of the other Transformers show, possibly Beast Wars. So until that time, I will be seeing you later. Thank you very much for listening.